Hey, I'm Jim Marous, owner and CEO of the Digital Banking Report and co-publisher of the Financial Brand. It is really exciting to be able to catch up with Scott Cates, the CIO from Truist at Fintech South 2020 virtual event. In the past, this event has taken place in the field of the amazing Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. While we don't have the same atmosphere in a virtual event, we definitely have expanded the scope of our audience attending, with attendees being worldwide this year. When the merger of BB&T and SunTrust was announced, I have to admit, I was a bit cautiously optimistic at best. After covering and being part of the banking industry for so long, I questioned whether the combination of two legacy banking organizations could create the best-of-breed digital bank that was promised. Obviously, there would be massive cost savings possible, but could an organization embrace change, take risks, and transform the organizations? Scott, it's really good to have you on this stage today. As mentioned, the imperative of investing in technology and innovation was a key force behind your merger. Can you just share a little bit more about how Truist has responded to these challenges and opportunities?
Yeah, hey, Jim, thanks for having me, for starters. It's great to be here with you and be part of the Fintech South event that we're sponsoring. So thanks for asking me to be here. First and foremost, the merger itself provides us just such an amazing opportunity, right? The scale that we've created with this merger gives us such a great platform to achieve digital success and reach clients in different ways. We're now a $500 billion plus organization in terms of assets, sixth largest commercial bank. We have such great scale and such great reach. 12 million households we can touch now from a digital standpoint. We're off to a great start, right? We've had recognition already this year from both legacy banks of our capabilities, whether it's been our digital platforms, online banking. I think we raked in some awards around our platform called Lightstream, which is our consumer lending platform. So we're rated already in the top tier of client experiences. But the merger itself just gives us scale, right? It gives us access to so many new households across the United States. So we're looking forward to bringing it and doing more from a digital perspective.
Well, Scott, you came from SunTrust, where you were the chief technology officer. It can be argued that what Truist is hoping to achieve is really dependent on how well you can make data analytics and technology come together. What has been the focus of your efforts since the merger?
Well, it's been, first and foremost, it's been the merger, Jim. I mean, that's a huge undertaking, as you know. You just alluded to it. The complexity of bringing thousands of applications together, consolidating, rationalizing those, moving data, figuring out our data center strategy. So from a pure IT standpoint, our focus first and foremost has been the merger, which we're in the middle of. We still have another 12 to 18 months or so to go before we're fully integrated from a systems perspective. However, so far this year, like the rest of the world, we've had to pivot and adjust and be agile in many ways, primarily driven from COVID-19 and reacting to that. So that's been both a challenge and an opportunity for Truist to kind of flex our digital muscle and demonstrate that we can deliver in an agile and digital way, even despite the pandemic. And we've delivered so many different capabilities, whether it's been appointment scheduling for our branch clients that no longer can come into a branch, or whether it's been the paycheck protection program and digitizing end-to-end workflow from beginning to end, and including the servicing components for our small business clients. So I think COVID-19's allowed us those opportunities. The merger certainly is this big, complex set of activities in the middle of it. And then candidly, we haven't been just sitting idly by, waiting for COVID to be done or waiting for the merger to complete. We've continued to add capabilities both internally for our teammates. We've automated many different components of our operations behind the scenes, which, by the way, I'm a big believer of. Take care of your teammates, take care of your operations teams. In turn, you take care of your clients. And we've reached out directly and touched many of our clients throughout this year, not just COVID related, in terms of delivering capabilities, analytics, deep insights to just better provide service to our clients throughout this year. So many different examples, despite the merger and the complexity of it all.
So even before the pandemic, the combination of two different operating systems is an enormous task with an amazingly tight time frame. Where are you in the process today, and how has the conversion been impacted by COVID-19?
Yeah, Jim, it's COVID-19 has touched everybody in so many different ways. So our merger is no exception. We weren't untouched by COVID-19. I'll talk about that in just a second. But in terms of where we are in the merger, we're excited. We're making great progress. We have certainly from a systems integration standpoint, which is obviously in my sphere of influence for the company. We are making good progress in terms of already implementing, converting certain parts of the company. Truist Securities is a great example. Truist Securities, which, is, by the way, one of the great specialty groups that Truist now has, where we focus on fintechs, by the way, is one of our specialty verticals, as well as technology. But we've already converted Truist Securities to the Truist platform. So that's an example of that one's already done in many ways from a technical standpoint. We have other early conversion events that's what we call them, coming up over the next year. Probably one of the bigger ones would be our mortgage origination platform. We'll convert later this year. And then private wealth, both brokerage and trust, will convert next year. Our big core bank conversion is slated for the first half of 2022. And that's obviously where we're going to touch, millions of households and millions of clients. So we're making sure that's going well, and it is going well, and we'll get that right. So a lot of activity, Jim. Definitely a complex undertaking and a lot of moving parts, but so far so good.
So as a result of COVID-19, branches were immediately shuttered. Consumers use digital channels more than ever before, and there was an increased emphasis on personalization, digital user experience, and empathy within brands. With the perspective of the consumer and customer experience, what are your short and long-term priorities?
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, with the COVID-19 impact, it certainly, I would say, accelerated in many ways, definitely amplified the need for digital activity. We frame the conversation at Truist in this phrase called T3. It's a very simple way to think about it, but it's effective. And the T3 acronym really for us means, touch plus technology equals trust. And again, it's a simple way to think about it, but that's our short-term, medium, and long-term strategy for Truist when we talk about digital. I think as you said, the shuttering of branches and the disruption that COVID-19 caused for our clients was in many ways that catalyst, a platform for us to kind of really accelerate on that T3 promise. And I mentioned it earlier, Jim, right? But we were able to touch our clients digitally in a way that maybe we weren't before. Again, it was appointment scheduling. It was the PPP, Paycheck Protection Program activities. It was e-signature capabilities, which seems fairly fundamental, but for both legacy companies, we weren't there yet across the board. It was text messaging. It was IVR callback capabilities. So, those were all on our radar. COVID-19 as a catalyst really forced us to bring all that forward in a very short period of time. And lastly, I'd say, Jim, for us internally, process, culture, behaviors, our value systems between technology and the business partners that we support every day, that changed as well in a big hurry. And this was an acceleration of that agile culture and mindset and belief system where technology, the business, product management, design thinking, all kind of crystallized for us in a big hurry back in the April, May timeframe.
So Scott, you were talking about the fact that you're having to do a lot of things at once, and my memory serves me pretty well around mergers and acquisitions. That's a lot to handle by itself. But then we have the pandemic, and you have people working remotely. How do you balance what is crisis mode and what needs to be done immediately with all the elements that have to take place from the standpoint of bringing two massive organizations together to make an even better organization? How do you balance all those?
Yeah, well, Jim, it's a good question, and it certainly is complex, and we have a lot of plates spinning all the time. The merger certainly is at the forefront of that. I think about it this way, Jim. We ground everything we do here at Truist in our purpose. That was one of the One of the things that at the forefront of the merger, we declared we want to be a purpose-led company, and our purpose is to inspire and build better lives and communities. That charge that we have, that commitment we have for our customers, our clients, and our teammates and our communities is really at the forefront, and that helps me, and it helps our technology team, and I think it helps all of our whole company prioritize. Right? It's a constant prioritization, compartmentalization exercise, but that purpose is our compass heading, and we take that compass heading every day to work through and navigate. I'd say also we have a great board. We have a great governance system in place where we're never too far off that purpose mindset. We know what our priorities are, and we're working through that. But in terms of the order, the hierarchy for us, it's especially in technology, it starts with protecting our clients' data. So we get into cybersecurity, and we get into making sure the data is safe, and then we move up from there. Our next priority is certainly our merger. But lastly, I'd say, Jim, for me as a leader, it comes down to I think we have great teams, we have great talent, and that's really our secret sauce here at Truist. I think it's the purpose that we have, it's the commitment of our teammates, it's good prioritization and clarity of what we're doing, why we're doing it, and at the end of the day, it's difficult. There is a lot on our plate, and it is a challenge. But I think we're up for that challenge, and so far we're doing great. We're off to a good start this year.
Well, obviously, when two large organizations come together, and it certainly was at the beginning of the announcement, that what you're hoping to get is 1 + 1 = 3. But how do you take the best of what BB&T and SunTrust offered before the merger and integrate them with the mission of becoming a world-class digital bank?
Yeah, for starters, I mentioned it earlier. The reality is we had a really good starting point, especially around digital capabilities and digital channels, as rated by J.D. Power, and really as told to us by our clients. So both former banks, BB&T and SunTrust, had a good start. We had a good running start. I'd say, in terms of the process that we used going through the merger to get to that 1 + 1 = 3 outcome, we went through quite a long, but I think effective process last year as we led up to our legal day one of our merger, of looking at the best of breed of systems, whether it was the digital application, the technology middleware, the back end data centers. And we made a true kind of merger of equals set of decisions that, while technically might have created a little bit more complexity versus going to all one system, we had client experience front and center and in mind. So, and that's really my last point, Jim. I'd say that we framed all of our decisions to get to best of breed with the client in the middle of it. Our technology teams don't look at this like it's tech for tech, or technology for the sake of technology. It's really been client driven, design and experience driven. And we believe if we keep that at the center of our process and our culture and our mindset, that we'll make the best choices with great talent, and we'll build the world-class capabilities and experiences that our clients expect.
So all the research we've done recently for the digital banking report points to the fact that with the speed of the pandemic, it really forced a lot of organizations to provide digital capabilities like end-to-end account opening, digital loan applications, and other functionality that in many cases weren't smooth to begin with. While you're able to check off the items on the to-do list, most organizations still only fake digital, where the apps were slower or really slow than what was done is in the branch, and really not capable to move up to what consumers get from a fintech organization. A lot of that takes back office changes. How are you changing the processes and policies of two legacy organizations to provide the speed and ease expected by your consumers?
Yeah, well, first of all, I totally agree. Faking digital is certainly not what we want to do. We don't want to have a great website or a great app that on the backside it's a clunky set of processes. Our data is not organized correctly, and it actually, while it might look great on the front end, the back end just doesn't work for our clients. So that's certainly not what we want. And I think you're right. I think that in terms of how you do that, it's the wiring, it's the plumbing, it's what sits behind that app, what sits behind the digital layer. So like in terms of policies and processes, we spend a lot of time internally, especially in the IT space, looking at our architecture, making sure that we have clear capabilities and governance around our API toolkit to make sure that we can architect how the data moves. Just yesterday, I had a great conversation with our data and analytics working group. So we actually have executive management level resources, myself and a few of my peers. We sit on that council and we look at our policies or standards, our control environment, and the quality of our data movement around the company. We pay that much attention to it all the way at the top of the company. So, those are, we certainly also have policies and standards in place around the security of our data as well. So when we put all this together, our focus, to your point, Jim, is yes, we love our apps and we love the digital platforms and we love the client experiences, but we have to pay attention to the backside of this, or else the plumbing just doesn't work. The water doesn't come out of the pipes.
So our research has also found that one of the key roadblocks to digital transformation is legacy leadership and culture. Both of your organizations, both SunTrust and BB&T, had a really strong legacy culture. But how is the bank today addressing the challenge when so many of the leaders came from legacy banking backgrounds?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right in terms of leadership, culture, behaviors, our value systems, right? Those are the ingredients for where we go next. It's super important to have leadership that number one understands the importance of things like design thinking, right? Client experience, client in the middle, and this emergence of ecosystems and partnerships that we have to tap into and have the capabilities to meet the client's expectations. So I think it gets grounded in really our fundamentals of leadership here at Truist, which is you'll hear our executive leadership talk about what is leadership. It's setting the vision and then having the courage to go get it done. We talk about it a lot, right? In terms of where are we today, where do we want to go, and how do you know where you need to go? And the way we know that is through, again, interactions with our clients. We do a lot of research. We ask our clients and we put them really right in the middle of our design thinking sessions to know where we have to go. And then lastly, again, I mentioned it earlier, Jim, it's our purpose. I think we constantly take the compass heading on client input, our purpose, and that's how we set the vision, and then we go execute.
So it's interesting. I'm wondering, did you find that actually that you're in the midst of this major transformation between two companies and people being selected from both organizations as to who's going to move everything forward? Did that massive amount of movement maybe help you during the digital transformation efforts that were needed as a result of COVID? And when you're looking to become a digital organization, did the fact that so much was changing at once maybe even help you as you're looking to change the organization from a legacy, I'll call it branch-based or physical organization, to much more of a digital organization?
I think the short answer is yes on both of those fronts, but COVID-19 response, as well as amplifying our conversations around digital transformation. I mean, the reality is, especially at the executive management table, we were spending not every day, but pretty close to every day for many, many months together, shaping, designing the next steps to get to the legal day one milestone, which for Truist, we became Truist back in December of last year. And then starting to plan the merger activities, make decisions on these application ecosystem choices that we had to make. So I think that the benefit of that was, yes, two legacy leadership teams, two heritage banks coming together. But because we had spent so much time together, we broke down barriers, we broke down our own lexicons, our own vocabulary, and really became focused on let's create Truist, let's define our purpose. I mean, I can tell you, it was just over a year ago, the executive management team sitting together, choosing every single word of our purpose, our mission, and our value statements. We did that together. We debated, we discussed and we aligned and had consensus coming out of those sessions. So I do think that mentality, that behavior pattern at the top of our company absolutely helped us accelerate decision making through COVID in the beginning of COVID back in March and April for us, and certainly has allowed me and one of my partners, Dante Wilson, who runs our digital kind of product teams, as well as other capabilities for the company, allowed us to lock arms. I mean, there's no daylight between Dante and I around what we need to do for our clients and how we need to go about it. And the executive management team, again, to your point, top of the house, culture, behaviors, value systems, is as absolutely 100% aligned on what we need to get done. So yes, I think it definitely helped accelerate.
Yeah, you look at this and you were already in a change mentality,
Yes.
while many organizations have this process of going from point A to point B, and it's so rote. It's so used to, we look at strategic planning, and a lot of times we just take last year's plan and make an adjustment. Well, that's not possible when you're bringing two organizations together. So I would imagine there is some help there. But speaking a little bit about change, less than 2 weeks ago, your company announced a venture capital firm within Truist called Truist Ventures. This is obviously intended to help jumpstart innovation on all levels, as well as address other objectives. How does this new initiative fit within the overall strategy of Truist?
Yeah, it's a prime example, I'd say, again, of our purpose for the company, and certainly fits squarely in the middle of our commitment to bring great, outstanding, world-class digital experiences to our clients. So yeah, Vanessa Reedland runs Truist Ventures. As you just said, it was kind of announced. We made a bit of a splash in the month of September with that, with our commitment and support of one of the fintechs, Veeam, which is a global payments platform. So that's the beginning of it for us. There's much more great things to come. But like it puts us front and center in again, this what I call this ecosystem of partnerships, of fintechs, puts us right in the middle of it, and also helps us showcase our Truist Securities capabilities that I mentioned earlier. We have a lot of tools in our toolkit we can bring to the table. Vanessa's a great leader, and we'll continue to look for opportunities. But those opportunities, Jim, for us are rooted in again in our purpose, our mission, our values, but also in the commitment to drive to that next gen world-class digital experience. So we're in the game big time on this, and we're really excited to see what Truist Ventures will continue to bring to the table.
So what was the biggest challenge faced in the combination of two legacy banking organizations and also the ongoing mission of digital transformation?
Well, look, I think the biggest challenge has been, we have 60,000 plus or minus teammates, right? We have, and they have families, and we had to bring these companies together, and it's a human endeavor, right? When you think about the hearts and minds that we have to capture of two great heritage companies, and get the alignment all the way to the top of the house, all the way to every single one of our teammates and partners and vendors, right? It's the whole supply chain we've got to bring together and align to this new purpose, right? We have a new brand, by the way, right? So that was another big challenge. We picked a new name. We picked new, a new color scheme. We picked a whole new design to try to create a new experience and put that out there and really drive client experiences. So I think the number one challenge for us is it's our people, and it's the alignment of our new brand, our new culture, and our new purpose. And the great news, Jim, is we're off to a really good start. I think we've had our teammates embrace our purpose and really step up to the plate. Clearly, there are a whole host of other challenges that are in my top 10, and especially with my CIO hat on and leading the merger for the company as well. We've got a range of challenges. They're more technical in nature to execute on the merger, but those aren't my number one. My number one challenge, but also my number one opportunity, I think, for this whole company, it's our teammates, it's our people.
Scott, I can't thank you enough for being on stage today and sharing what's going on at Truist, because I know almost every bank in the United States and probably worldwide is looking at what you're doing, because we haven't seen a merger like this, certainly during a time like this. But even if there wasn't the merger, was this all this going on in digital transformation and the ability to move all these moving parts. I'm not sure if I'm sure there's people on your street that right now are maybe underemployed, which we all are thinking of them, but you're far from that. You have a lot of moving parts, and I just want to thank you, and I want to thank the sponsors that helped put on this event that made it possible for us to come together. Thanks a lot, Scott.
Thank you, Jim. It was a pleasure to be here today. Thanks again.